Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning. A big thank you to Charles's voicemail on Twitter for this picture. You guys, there is so much in here. In case you're unaware, Harry's trying to get his security again. I swear to God, there's no end to this. He also has been slapped down by the judge in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail. There is so much in here. That's why it's so super long. But let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start with the Duchess of Gloucester. She is patron of St. Paul's Cathedral's Cloister Trust, and she attended evensong and the recital, followed by a reception in St. Paul's Cathedral to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Trust and the 100th anniversary of the Guild Companions. Let's move on now to the Duke of Gloucester, who officially opened a multi-award-winning Viking energy network called Gettr. He met with some school children, unveiled a plaque, and then went and laid a wreath at the cemetery. That's a picture I showed you from a previous video from a subscriber who sent the pictures. Love it. Let's move on now to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She was at Mackey's of Scotland Ice Cream during her visit to the Aberdeenshire dairy farm. Apparently, she tried a lot of potential future flavors. She said her absolute favorite was a traditional product. You know, like chocolate, traditional stuff. Now, also on October 9th, I believe it is, the Princess Royal, she's Grand Master of the Royal Victorian Order. She went with her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, again, to visit evensong and the reception at the King's Chapel of the Savoy. Let's move on now to Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. He went to the Royal Air Force Waddington as the Honorary Air Commodore to mark the retirement of their MQ-9 Reaper after 18 years of service. It's now succeeded by the next generation MQ-9B Protector. Let's move on now to William and King Charles. They stepped out together in London for a joint engagement. They were at the pre-COP30 climate event at London's Natural History Museum. Now, we know the two of them are really big on conservation efforts, and they were there for innovative solutions to tackle climate change alongside other world leaders and environmental experts. The timing of this event was very fitting because William, it was announced, is going to travel to Brazil next month for the Earthshot Prize, continuing his mission to spotlight, innovative ideas that can help repair the planet, which is a cause that closely mirrors King Charles's lifelong environmental advocacy. And also on Thursday, the palace announced that William will attend COP30 World Leaders Summit in Brazil on November 6th on behalf of King Charles. First, he'll be in Rio de Janeiro for the Earthshot Prize on the 5th, participating in the environmental related engagements from the 3rd through the 5th before he travels to COP30. Now, COP30 is titled this year, Countdown to COP30, Mobilizing Action for Climate and Nature. So this event is 6 weeks ahead of that. During the evening, Charles and William viewed photography by the Woodland Trust, a charity in the UK working to preserve forests. Then they met business and finance leaders to hear how they're supporting projects to woodlands. Then in one of the museum's halls, William and Charles saw displays highlighting innovative solutions developed in the UK to some of the world's climate and natural challenges, which echoes William's drive via the Earthshot Prize to discover innovative ways to tackle the issues facing the planet. This reception also showcased some of the powerful film conservation, including the 6-part docuseries Guardians launched and introduced by William in June. This film highlighted the travails of rangers and other wildlife champions who work in very dangerous circumstances to preserve endangered species around the world. There was also an exhibition at the reception titled The Speeches, 50 Years of Speaking Up for the Planet, which is a celebration of Charles's long-standing and enduring leadership on the issue. Pretty cool, and it looked at the King's advocacy. Also there was the Brazilian ambassador to the UK, Antonio de Patriota, and the Minister of Health, Alexandra Padilla. Now, let's not forget the Earthshot Prize was launched in 2020. It has since staged annual celebrations in Boston, Singapore, Cape Town, South Africa, and it spotlights groundbreaking innovations aimed at repairing and protecting the planet. So let's not forget they're vying for a large prize to help out. And let's not also forget that William champions a range of environmental charities like Tusk, of which he's a royal patron. Now, I have to tell you, I saw this. The amount of love, care, concern, and respect that flows back and forth between Charles and William is so obvious. And all these articles about Charles is upset with William, not true. Look at this. Not true. It looks to me like the event was a total win, and I'm glad that they were able to go together. Let's move on to our next story. We're sticking with Prince William. For World Mental Health Day, Prince William sat down to have a conversation with a Miss Mannings, who talked about how her husband Paul Mannings had unalived himself in 2012, 5 days after their 1-year-old son, George, died of pneumonia. So William had a very touching conversation with her and asked her a very important question, to which she had a wonderful answer. Let me play it for you.
If you could say something, or wanted to say something to Paul, what would you have said?
Why didn't you speak to me? I ask myself that every single day, because he's missed out on just so much joy. I'd never been touched by suicide. It was something that happened in the news, and it happened to us. I will forever go over those last few days with him, wondering what they missed. We were just so happy, and I think this just shows that it really can happen to anyone. You okay?
The best way to prevent suicide is to talk about it. Talk about it early, talk about it with your loved ones, those you trust, your friends. So thank you for talking about it.
Now, this was marking the Royal Foundation's launch of a new national suicide prevention network, which is uniting 4 charities across 4 home nations to help transform prevention in the UK. A new film was released to help introduce this new network as well. You guys should know that the young lady who was interviewed also started a charity of her own, which is doing very well. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. All right, believe it or not, they're saying that Harry is actually at risk of being dropped as the patron of Invictus Games because he's no longer perceived as beneficial to the charity due to his estrangement from the royal family. I agree. All right, let's move on. We know that Harry's court case, remember I told you last week Harry got admonished by the judge. Well, the judge has come out now and said that Harry has been barred from alleging that Catherine and William were victims of unlawful information gathering as part of his own privacy claim against the Daily Mail. Now, Prince Harry's lawyers told the High Court, if you remember, that Harry's associates, including Catherine and William, had been targeted by private investigators paid by journalists. And Harry later complained he had not been made aware that William and Catherine would be identified in the High Court's case. Remember, he said, this was all my attorney doing. I didn't understand what was going on. So Harry's lawyers said the private investigators were paid for information about William's 21st birthday party, a mobile telephone conversation about Catherine, and details from her family's home. But Judge Nicklin ruled on Friday that allegations related to Catherine that have been added to Harry's claim are too late. They are time barred. The allegations about William's party was never formally about the claim, but the judge struck out allegations that 3 private investigators were paid for information about William. He said he was rejecting irrelevant allegations to stop the case descending into an uncontrolled and wide-ranging investigation akin to a public inquiry. Some of the allegations involve burglaries, and even the judge said you can't use those either because even if they were proved true, they can't assist in the fair resolution of the claims. The judge also criticized Harry's lawyers for maintaining the burglary claim. saying it reflects a continued misunderstanding of the scope of the litigation. Now, of course, Harry's attorneys now are considering an appeal, which would delay the start of the trial. Basically, what it comes down to is the judge says you need to bring actual evidence and not, assume things based on what you think might have happened to other people. God, this guy is stupid. All right, let's move on to our next story. You're not going to believe this, but Harry is trying again to get taxpayer-funded security. All of these claims of the stalker, there's a known stalker, and she breached a secure zone, and it's dangerous for me. Now, we know that his appeal against the dismissal of the High Court claim concerning the level of taxpayer-funded protection he receives was rejected in May. He has a £1 million bill. I wonder if he's paid that yet. My guess would be no. Anyway, he apparently wrote a letter to Miss Mahmood, and it was dispatched prior to the 2 security incidents that happened in September. Well, isn't that just a little coinky-dink? So he was told if he left the royal family, he would lose his security. He lost his security. Then he sued his father's government. He lost. He appealed. He lost. Now he's giving interviews claiming the royal family is using that security to try to control him. Then he asked Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer to step in, and now he's writing letters. This, in my opinion, this was a fake setup. This is just like the New York car chase. He doesn't want the kind of security they're offering. All he has to do is give a 30-day notice that he's coming, and he'll have security. What he wants is his IPP status back, because with the IPP status, he'll get free security no matter where he is, and that includes the United States. What Harry has done in that letter to the Home Secretary was ask for another reevaluation of his security arrangement when he's in the UK. He has submitted a formal request for a risk assessment to the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, which is RAVIC, which is overseen by the Home Office. He's already had how many of these now? I mean, my goodness, he's just never going to stop. Harry even told the BBC he was asking the Home Secretary, who at the time was Yvette Cooper, to look at this very carefully. And now the Court of Appeal's decision says he can't bring Meghan and the children back because it's not safe. Okay, stay in the United States. I honestly don't think the royal family wants you back. I don't think the UK wants you back. Oh my God. All right, let's move on. Now, we know that Meghan is still in New York because she's going to be on this summit with Kamala Harris, Selena Gomez, and she's going to be talking about building her as ever brand and navigating entrepreneurship in the public eye. I'm sure they won't be discussing that the company is failing, but okay. In the meantime, it wouldn't be a trip to New York if Meghan didn't do her pap walk right in front of her hotel. A big thank you to that one on Twitter for these videos. My God, the woman is talented. So we saw what was going on in New York. We're not stupid. And the next day, it was time to go to the festival that was the next day. You're not going to believe this. Katie Couric actually praised Harry and Meghan for their quote-unquote extraordinary work and not just giving lip service. I'm sorry, did I miss something? Because lip service, it seems to me, is about all they give. Now, they both gave speeches. Harry's speech waxed on for over 4 minutes, where he ummed and awed a lot. You know how that works with him. Anyway, I'm giving you just about a few seconds worth of what he said, just to show you that there's really not a whole lot to what he said. Listen to this.
How are we doing today? It's wonderful. Well, we're all very, very grateful that you're here today. Today is more than just about conversation. It's about community. And over the next several hours, you'll hear from remarkable people. Researchers, advocates, parents, young people, and leaders who are reshaping how we approach our mental health here in America and around the world. Now, the past 5 years have taught us painfully that crises rarely arrive in isolation. The global pandemic stripped away the ordinary scaffolding of life and brought a measurable surge in anxiety, depression, and loss of connection. War and displacement, from Ukraine to Gaza, Sudan to DRC, and many places in between, have created waves of trauma for those defending their countries and their way of life.
All right, so word salad, lip service, and then of course it was Meghan's turn. Ay, ay.
We're going to turn to one of the most urgent questions facing families today. What's happening to childhood? And how and what do we do to allow our children to just be children?
Now, I find that statement from her rather odd. Let's let children just be children. However, her children never leave their compound. They don't have normal lives. They're growing up without grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family. They're growing up alone, but she wants children to be children. Again, a lot of lip service. And this is about mental health. I wonder how her father's doing. So what usually happens when the attention is on other people? Well, Harry and Meghan turn it back to themselves. So after they had all that cringe on the red carpet, they go backstage where Harry is just in the corner under a light and Meghan is in the forefront, and there just happens to be somebody there with a camera who just happens to catch a video of them having a sweet moment, and there's no awkwardness between them. And Meghan writes, "Happy World Mental Health Day to the man who always keeps me laughing." Okay, so William is off having talks about people unaliving themselves, and Meghan decides this is a good time to post this kind of video. Let's be honest, she and Harry put this video up because of the rumors of the state of their marriage, because of the way Harry was looking at her on the red carpet or the black carpet as they went down the line. That's why they put this up. Then, after talking about safety, online safety for children, she starts posting these pictures of her daughter. Once again, ratty hair, doesn't look like it's been brushed, pajamas, running across the compound because, of course, she's not allowed out anywhere. I'm like, I just don't understand what she's doing. It's all about her, her children, her. And then they put up this kind of stuff. This is what Archwell Foundation is doing. This is what we're doing. And then they take over the whole narrative. So once again, nobody's talking about World Mental Health Day when it comes to them. They're talking about her hair, the fact that she wasn't wearing a shirt. What people are saying about Harry now is that he has white savior complex, but now he's had another blow. We already know this. He has had some of the best headlines he's had in years when he went back to Britain last month, but that goodwill was very quickly dismantled under the blizzard of bad publicity. He had the accusation that he leaked sensitive information about the very brief meeting he had with his fathers. Now the revelation that one of the charities he's linked to, African Parks, has been described as no longer fit for purpose. Indelicate and disrespectful is the way they've said it. And all this hoo-ha has arisen because it's been reported that the charity, which was founded to look after protected parks, has been dropped as a partner by Chad's government on the ground that it has displayed what its minister called a recurring, indelicate, and disrespectful attitude towards the government. Now, a document was released that accuses the charity of all kinds of problems, including pocketing revenues from tourism, which it prioritized over conservation activities, by the way, and even transferring money overseas to the detriment of Chad in a violation of national banking and tax regulations. Now, for those of you who don't realize it, Harry and Meghan were trying for another relaunch. So what went wrong? Well, a lot. So the whole thing started in Paris, where Meghan was accused of being a mean girl because she was laughing when one of the models tripped accidentally on the runway. Yeah, that didn't look good. Then, within hours of leaving the show, she posted that thoughtless, insensitive, and just horrible video with her feet up in a limo near the tunnel where Princess Diana had died. Then, of course, 2 days after that, we got the drama about African parks. And let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago that Harry lost Sentabale. So it was 2 days after that that Harry and Meghan went to New York to accept the award for Humanitarians of the Year. But the irony of this is that they're not suitable for the award, especially when you consider their public fallouts with the royal family, who they haven't seen, the way Meghan has treated her father. They even listed Harry's memoir Spare among his achievements. So what has their foundation actually done in the field of mental health? Really, what have they done? Because their treatment of their respective families makes them unsuitable. Let's not forget another PR gaffe where Meghan tried to make you think she's making jam in her kitchen, but she was holding the tongs upside down. And coming up this week, we have the Fortune Women's Summit, where I'm sure Meghan will talk about how she wrote a letter when she was 11 years old. You know, I want your opinion. What do you think about the difference between World Mental Health Day was handled between William and between Meghan and Harry? I really want your opinion. So put them down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, a link to my second channel, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.